Hi everyone. Okay, let's just get to it. You probably want to know how to build a sales dashboard on Tableau. I am actually about to build a sales dashboard on Tableau. I thought it might be useful to do it in a tutorial style. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. We are just going to go through from the very beginning how to build a sales dashboard. Now, if this is something that you enjoy, let me know. And also, just a quick note, I will be blind building this dashboard. So that means that I haven't really looked at the data and I haven't really thought about the actual structure of the dashboard. I'm just going to go for it. So you just have an idea of how I build dashboards when it comes to different projects. All right, awesome. Let's get to it. Okay, so this will involve Tableau Public, so you can open it. And I don't know if this is Tableau Public. I don't think so. So I'm just going to open Tableau Public. And Tableau Public is a bit different to Tableau Desktop. There is quite a lot of limitation when it comes to the data sources. So for Tableau Public, you can only use flat files. And for Tableau Desktop, you can use whatever data sources you want actually. Tableau Public is probably a lot more limited when it comes to that. So with Tableau Desktop, you can connect to data warehouses in the cloud, etc. In Tableau Public, you can't. So this is Tableau Public. And we are going to connect to a text file. Now you can download the data. It is in the description below. So you should download the data and you should download the logo. Right, awesome. So when you open Tableau Public, you'll see something like this, which is your data connection pane. This area here might be blank for you because you haven't created a dashboard, which is totally fine. And then on the left-hand side is where you connect to your data. Now, a few minutes earlier, we were talking about the differences between Tableau Desktop, which is Tableau's paid version, and Tableau Public. Here is where you can notice most of the difference. So the difference here with Tableau Public is that you can only connect to flat files. Tableau Desktop, you can connect to quite a lot of different types of data sources. Right, and then to the right usually is Tableau's own marketing pane. So they'll have things like how-to videos, a viz of the day, and some additional resources. Okay, so we are going to connect to a text file. So click on text, and then just navigate to where your data is downloaded. So my data is here, and I want to select salesdata.csv and click open. Okay. Right, and then once you open your dataset, you see a new window which looks something like this. Now this is your Tableau data source window. So whenever you connect to a data source, this shows up. And what happens here is that it shows you the connection. So on the top right here, it will say what sales data you connected to. Sometimes if you are connecting to CSV files in your local computer and you connect to a specific data set, and in that folder maybe you have other CSV files, it usually shows up here. But you can see over here I just have sales data. And then data interpreter is Tableau's little cleaning apparatus almost. So if you have some Excel sheets and maybe they consist of something like merged rows, you can use data interpreter and it might be able to clean your data just to get it in the plain table format, which is what we want. Okay, when we clicked on data, when we connected to the data, we saw immediately that the sales data has been added, which is awesome. So there's nothing much we can do in this pane. This pane here comes into use when you want to do joins on Tableau. So if I want to join a different data set, then this pane here, I'll just drag and drop the data set and then decide how to join it. This is just a tutorial for beginners, so I won't cover joins yet. And then finally, to have a look at what data is actually showing, you can use this sort of pane in the bottom. So on the left over here, you can see sales data. So that's the name of a file. And you have the field names here. You also have the data types. So you'll see this icon appear quite a lot in the data source pane, but you'll also see it appear in when we're building worksheets on Tableau. And all it does is that it tells us the type of a field, right? So for order ID, it's saying that order ID is a number hole. Okay, so if you click on the icon, you can actually see the selected type. Products is ABC, which means it's a string. Quantity ordered is a number. Order date is a date. And you can see city here is, if we click on that world icon, it's a string. But if we go to geographic role, we can see it's flagged as city. With these icons, you can also change the data type. So maybe, you look at order ID and you're like, hey, I don't want that to be a number. It should be a string. You can do that. Right. And then finally, we have our actual table values. So I haven't had a look at the data, so I'm doing it now. So I know that this is sales data, and it's probably from a company that sells like home electronics, appliances, etc. And that's about it. That's all I know. So let's have a look at the data. So below here, we can see order ID. So this probably represents a unique order. And then we get product. So this is probably the product sold. The quantity ordered, so how many of this product did they order? How much was it? So how much did price each? I'm not sure about that actually. So let's get back to that because it could be selling price, could be cost price. Order date, so that's the date that the order happened. Purchase address, so this is probably the address of the customer who purchased it. Month, so this is the month that happened. The actual sales, so this would be selling price. The city, so this is probably the city the purchase of the client is in, so you can see it matches up with that purchase address, and then the hour that it happened. So we know sales is selling price, so I think price each is the price of one individual product. So for instance, over here, the AAA batteries 4-pack, they ordered 2 of this with a price of $2.99. Okay, and then the total price of that order was $5.98. So that makes sense. All right, and one more thing I wanted to chat about is filters. So let's just say you are busy analyzing data and you know, hey, the client wants me to only analyze data in a specific subset of the data. So for example, the client maybe only wants you to analyze Los Angeles data, or the client maybe only wants you to analyze data between, April 3rd, 2020 and April 8th, 2020. That means that you want to filter the data, and you can do it here. So if we filter the data, so if we only choose a selected part of the data set, we can't analyze a part that we didn't choose. So if you want to filter your data, so let's just pretend that the client, or our client, wants us to analyze Los Angeles data. That means that we can filter it just to show the rows where Los Angeles is the city. So click on add, and click on add again, and click on city, okay, because it's asking you which field do we want to filter, and click OK. Now it will generate a list of cities, and then select the city maybe you just want to see, so LA, and click OK. Then tells us that a city filter has been created and it's keeping Los Angeles, and select OK. Okay, and now your data will just show you all the purchases made in LA. It means that you won't be able to analyze or build charts on the other data where the purchases were made elsewhere. All right, and then to remove a filter, you can see at the top right, it will tell you how many filters have been applied. So I'll click on edit, click on city, and then just say remove. When you click OK, should be back. All right, and when you are ready, we can actually start building our charts. So when you're ready, click on sheet 1. Perfect. Okay, so this is where you build your charts on Tableau. And I just will give you a quick tour here. So this icon on the top right, if you click on it, it goes to that screen that we were at the beginning. If you click on it again, it goes back to your worksheet screen. These two arrows are basically undo and redo. So this is cool with Tableau because you can basically undo until the very beginning. Okay, this is to save. This is if you want to add a new data source. This is to create a new worksheet. So a worksheet is where you build a chart. A workbook is where you, or is the actual document that you keep all your charts in, or the actual Tableau file is called a workbook. And then the dashboard is a combination of several worksheets or several charts. Okay, this is if you want to duplicate your sheet. These here we'll probably use in our tutorial. And then this here we can chat about a bit later, but this is where you change the sizing. You'll have your data tab, so this is where all your fields are. And you'll notice the fields are separated by blue and by green. So blue fields are dimensions. So dimensions are basically fields that you can't perform mathematical operations on. So example, the name of a product or the order ID or a date. Whereas measures are fields that you can physically measure, that you can perform mathematical operations on. So Tableau automatically splits this. You can also change it, so maybe you'll see a measure where it should be a dimension. So if you just click and you drag and you drop, then the field will change into a dimension. And this is where we build our actual charts. So we're going to build. So I think for sales, and just off the top of my head, I think it's really important for sales data that you'd want to build sales by order date, just to see how many sales you get in a specific month or a specific day. So let's do that. So I'm going to click on order date, and to create a chart on Tableau, it's quite simple. You click, drag, and drop it. So let's drop it onto rows. Right, and then immediately you'll see a year appear of the order date. And that's because when you click on order date and you drop it to rows, you can see on the top here, Tableau doesn't just have the date as is, it will aggregate to a year. And if you click on the plus sign, it will move to quarter. And if you click on the plus sign by the quarter, it will move to month, and then you can continue. To contract this, I just go back to year and close it. So Tableau always does that with the date function, but you can actually change the way it's aggregated, and we will do that now. And then let's do sales. So let's click on sales, let's drag it, and let's drop it to columns. All right. Let's rotate the axis. So I want actually order dates on columns and sales on rows. So to do that, click on this icon at the top here. Right. And now instead of year, I actually want year month. So to do that, you can see it says year of order date. If you click on this arrow at the side of the pull, and you go down, this will just show the actual month, but I want month year. So do the second one. Right, and now this shows month year. And this is your first graph. Right, so a few formatting things we can do is maybe we want to change the color of the line. So let's do that. So if you click on color and click on maybe this turquoise. All right, and then let's change the size. So click on size and just drag it. Perfect. Okay, so you can see the size of the line has changed. We change the color. And let's add a label, because I actually want a label on each point. So if you want a label, you click on the sales field, drag and drop it to label here. So this marks pane is where you can format your chart. Perfect. And I do want to change this into a currency. So let's do dollars because it's easier, but you can do whatever currency you want. So to change it into a currency, you can go to the sales field here. Click on the arrow to the right. Click on change or maybe default properties. Click on number format. Click on currency standard and change it. So if you want dollars, it will be English United States. I'm from South Africa, so that's why it's saying English South Africa. But we're doing English United States. And click OK. Right. So this looks fine, but again, I want it formatted, maybe rounded off to the nearest 1,000 or nearest million in this case. And to do that, what are we going to do? So when we change the formatting of the sales here, whenever we use the sales pull or the sales field, this formatting will apply. But if you just want to change the formatting to this specific graph, so when you create a new graph or a new chart, that formatting doesn't apply, we do it here. All right, so on your marks pane, we just want to change the formatting on this specific graph because I want it rounded off to say like 3.3 million. And I don't want to have that in the original or main field. I want to just do it for the specific graph. So I'm going to do the same thing. So click on the arrow, click on format, and you can see numbers appear. So you can change the font or the alignment, but we're just changing the number. So click on it, click on currency standard, change it to a currency that you want. So I am doing English United States. Click on currency custom, and we're going to do 0 decimal places, and display units will be millions. Okay, let's do 1 decimal place. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Awesome. So now we have our sales by the month. And let's add a tooltip. So a tooltip is when I hover, you can see Tableau is telling me the month of the order date and then the sales. So we can actually format this to look a bit better. So let's click on tooltip. Oh, I think it is in my other screen. Let me just bring it across if I can. There you go. Okay. So now we can change whatever we want here. So let's just call it order date. So I'm just going to do order date like that. Let's highlight order date. Or let's maybe highlight everything. Do Tableau bold. And for month of order date, just select that. And let's change that to this turquoise color. You can also add anything like sales. So let's do sales for this month. I just want to show you just general formatting. And click OK. And now let's hover. So now you can see our tooltip has been formatted. All right. And now let's just format this chart while we're at it. So I want you to right click anywhere on this chart and select format. And let's remove the grid lines because I really don't like them. So go to the icon on the right here, the lines. So this is where you can format your entire chart, by the way. So to do grid lines, it will be this icon here. To fix the cells, it will be this icon. To change the shading of the background, it will be this icon, and you can change it at a worksheet level or a pane. So a pane is just a single sort of row, or a header. So the header would be, in a table, you'd get headers, which are just basically your table headings. So let's go to our line icon and go to rows, and you can see there is a slight grid line. So click on it and say none. Perfect. And let's change the font. So to go to the font, we go to this A icon. When I apply to our whole sheet, click on the worksheet and just change it to Tableau Bold. Right, so that looks much better already. Okay, you can close it and let's do the heading. So just double click on the heading. This is how we change the heading. And backspace, and let's change the font to Tableau Bold again. And let's say sales by order month. So Tableau Bold didn't stick, so let's highlight everything and change it to Tableau Bold and centralize it. Oh, it's not Tableau here, Tableau Bold. And change the font size to 12, so maybe something like that. And click OK. Right, and then at the last stage, we're just going to rename the sheet. So double click on sheet 1 at the bottom. Backspace, and let's say sales by month. All right, so keep in mind that we did end up formatting quite a lot, but it was relatively quick to build the chart, right? And what I like to do in Tableau is that since I do the formatting in the first chart, I don't want to continuously do that every time I create a new chart. So I'm going to teach you a quick trick. So usually sometimes you create a new chart, and if we do want to do like an order by sales or an order date by sales, and let's just change that to a line chart, which I'll show you how to do now. You can see it doesn't retain any formatting that we had for sales by orders month, by order month. Right, that's because we need to apply all that formatting again. So what I like to do is I just duplicate the sheet and I remove all the fields, and the formatting actually stays, so it's quite a shortcut. Okay, so I want you to right click on this field and click delete. And let's right click on sales by month and say duplicate. Okay. Now before we move on, I actually want to show you what show me is at the top. So show me is quite cool. Once you bring in fields into your rows and columns and you select show me, Tableau will show you what possible graphs it can build. Okay, so we can build a heat map, which doesn't look like it gives you much information. We can build a highlight table. We can build a pie chart, a horizontal bar chart, etc. And you can see as you hover at the bottom here, it will show you what you need. For a area chart, you need one date, 0 or more dimensions, and 1 or more measures, which is quite cool. Right. Okay, so I am going to do, I guess we'd also like to know order date by quantity ordered, the number of quantities that's being ordered. So we can keep month of order date. Okay, if you have that, and instead of sales, let's remove sales, and let's add quantity ordered. Okay. You can see sum of quantity ordered where sum appears. So the actual field doesn't have a sum, but here there is a sum present. And basically what this means is Tableau is summing up the quantity ordered for this specific month, and then summing up the quantity ordered for this specific month, etc. So it's just telling you what it's doing. If you swap the axes again, that's perfect. And instead of standard, I actually want this graph expanded to the end. So let's click on standard and say entire view. Okay, let's change the color. So click on color. And we did turquoise in the last graph, so let's do a gray. So let's do maybe this third gray here. Perfect. Right, and let's bring in quantity order as a label as well. So click on quantity ordered, drag and drop it to a label. Awesome. So now this gives us our quantity ordered by month. So let's click on sales by order month, double click on it. And instead of sales, Let's backspace and let's say quantity ordered by order month. And click OK. All right, and let's rename this. So double click on Sales by Month tab at the bottom and say QTY by month. Awesome. The other graph that I'd like to do, just looking at the data, is often I know a lot of sales managers like to see the top products that are sold. So let's do something like that. So remember, to make it a bit quicker for us, we'll duplicate the sheet. So right click on quantity by month and select duplicate. And let's just remove all of this. And let's bring in product and drag and drop it to rows. And for sales, you can just double click it. All right. And let's click on show me and make sure we have bar chart or horizontal bars. Okay, now to sort this into, well, I guess firstly we have our product and we have our product by sales. So a 20-inch monitor made 0.5 million or $500,000 in sales. All right. So I want to sort this into highest selling products to lowest. Okay, and we can do it using these icons here. So let's click on this one. Perfect. Instead of standard, let's expand that a bit to entire view. Okay, I can see grid lines are here, so let's get rid of them. So to get rid of the formatting here, I want you to right click on format. And let's get rid of the grid lines, which is the last icon. And it is columns, so click on columns. And you can see that slight grid line is appearing, so click on none. Right, let's add a label. So I want sales to be the label. So click on sales, drag and drop it. Now you can add whatever label you want as well. So if you want the sales and maybe quantity ordered, so click and drag and drop quantity ordered to labels. You now have the sales and you have the quantity label ordered. All right, so I just want, actually, you know what, it is quite useful to have the quantity ordered. Let's leave it like that. Let's change the color, so click on color and change it to turquoise. Perfect. Now the other thing I want to do is, there is sales and there's quantity ordered. I actually like to name the individual labels so that the user knows what each one is. So to do that, if you go to label, and this label pane here can change, is where you can change the actual text. So we can change the text size, the actual text, the color, the type of font as well. You can change the alignment. So if you want it to the right, in the middle of your chart, or at the beginning, you can do that. You can change the vertical alignment as well. But for now, I just want it at the right. And then I want you to click on the 3 dots by text. And now you should see something like that. Okay. And here's where we can actually write things. So firstly, I want sales first. So I want you to select some sales, copy, so Command or Control C. So make sure you copy that, backspace, and put it above the sum of quantity ordered. Highlight everything and align it. You can align it on the center. And where it says quantity ordered sum, just say QTY and select OK. Right. Let's make this a bit smaller as well. I think it's a little bit too big for the chart. So click label, click on the 3 dots and highlight everything. And let's make it 8 and click OK. Right, better. Okay, so here instead of the title, let's change that to top selling products. and click OK. And the tab at the bottom, let's double click that. Select everything, backspace, and say top selling products. Okay. Now the other thing I do want to do is to create one more chart. And the chart I'm going to create is quite similar, but I actually want top selling products or top products by the individual prices. So by unit price, which products are top. Okay, so let's duplicate the sheet. So right click on top selling products and say duplicate. I just want to show you how easy it is to do. So instead of sales, I actually want price each. So wherever I see sales, I just want to replace it with price each. So click on price each, drag, and as soon as you can see it's like right on top of columns and it's highlighted, drop it. And then do the same for here as well. So click on price each to the left, drag, and as soon as it's on top of some sales, drop it. Okay, and then you can remove the sum quantity. All right, and then this is a price each. But you can see it's a sum. So we need to change it because obviously buying a MacBook Pro laptop doesn't cost you $8 million. So we are going to change it. Why is it doing that? Well, we know it's aggregating by sum. So what Tableau is doing is that whenever it sees the product MacBook Pro, it's summing all MacBook Pro prices each and giving us this here, all right? So all the MacBook Pros, the prices each sum up to 8 million. Okay, but we probably want the average, right? So we can change that. But before we do, let's just change this label. So click on label, click on the 3 dots, and let's just remove quantity, because remember we had it in the last chart, we duplicated it, and that's why quantity is appearing. So just make sure it's not there and click OK. Right. So let's change it. So instead of sum price each here, click on the arrow, go to measure, because now it's saying, hey, I'm measuring by the sum and I want average. Right. Let's do the same for label. So click on the arrow, go to measure and say average. Okay. Now things are looking a bit more better. So now it's telling us, hey, the MacBook Pro costs $1,700. So that makes sense. Let's just sort this again. So click on sort icon here. And for price each, let's just change this to dollars. So click on price each, click on the arrow, click on default properties, number format, currency standard. We're going to change that to English United States. Go to currency custom, and we can leave it at 2 decimal places, that's fine, and click OK. Right. Perfect. And now you can see we have the price of each product, or the average price of each product. Let's change this label. So instead of top selling products, let's double click it, backspace everything, and call it average price per product. And click OK. Again, where it says top selling products at the bottom tab, double click on it and say AVG price per product. Okay, and I think we have all the charts we need for our dashboard. Okay. So what we've done is that we've built separate charts, and now we're going to add them together to create a dashboard. So let's do that. Okay, so to create a dashboard, you can select this window icon right here. And let's change the actual sizing, because this white space is how we are going to build a dashboard, or where we are going to build a dashboard. So for size, instead of range, do a fixed size. And I do, let's try 1:200. 1:200. and 800. Yeah, so 1200 by 800 should be fine. Let's start bringing in the charts. So you can see for our sheets here, we can select the chart. So if we select sales by month and we drag it and we drop it, it appears. Let's do quantity. So if we select quantity by month, drag and drop it so it looks just like this. Top selling products. So let's select, drag, and maybe drop it until it looks like that. And then average price per product. So click, drag, and drop it until it looks like that. Okay, that was actually quite quick, which is amazing. And now let's create maybe a bar at the top to have our dashboard name and an icon. So let's do a horizontal container. Container basically adds a bunch of, or holds a bunch of worksheets, maybe some text, some images together. Just keeps it formatted nicely. So click on horizontal container and drag it, and until it looks like that, so like that, drop it. Okay, let's just size it and like try and size everything maybe to look a bit equal with the space on top. Let's bring in a text. So text here, click, drag, and drop it. Let's change the font to Tableau Bold, and now we are going to add a heading to our dashboard. So Tableau Bold, and let's do 20 font size, and let's call this Sales Dashboard. Select all, and let's choose a darker, like I'm choosing this black color here, and click OK. Let's add an image. So click on image, drag it, and as soon as it's to the left of Sales Dashboard, drop it. Now it will open an image window, which you can see here, and you can choose your image file. So I'll have it in the description. It's a PNG file. So click on choose, and you can see it shows my paper.png, but it should be I renamed it. It's the wrong name. It actually should be called Home Market. I'll change it when I upload it. So you should see a home market.png, and click open, do a fit and a center, and click OK. Right, and this is the icon that shows up and your dashboard. And lastly, I want to show you filtering on the dashboard. So for filtering, let's do a product filter and let's do a month filter. So what I usually do is if I click on a sheet that will have month, which is sales by order month, so click on it, make sure it's outlined, click on the arrow, go to filters, and select month of order date. Right. You can see this container gets added. So I want you to click on the container, click on the notch, and drag it back to this horizontal container where our heading is, and drop it. So now this is where you can actually change the range, and you can see this chart is filtered. But I want this filtered for the whole dashboard. So how do I do that? So if I click on the filter, click on the arrow, and go to apply to worksheets. Now you can do selected worksheets where you can select all the worksheets on the dashboard and apply that filter. But since we're using one data source and all of these dashboards or all of these charts are from one data source, which was our sales data.csv, we can just say all using this data source. And this applies the filter to whatever charts that are using the sales data CSV. All right, and now let's try it. Okay, so now you see that the whole dashboard filters. Then let's do a product filter. So let's do top selling products. Click on the arrow and click on filters and select product. Okay, and you'll see product appear here. So let's just change the formatting, because if you scroll, it just is so hard to see. So click on product, click on the arrow, and here's where you can change the formatting. So if we do something like multiple values drop down, and if you click on product, you'll be able to pick a few, and you can see that chart filters. Now to filter the whole dashboard, click on product, click on the arrow, go to apply to worksheets, and say all using this data source. Okay. So now, because we selected those 3 products, this dashboard will just show us orders for those 3 products, the quantity, the top selling products, and then the average price of those products. Okay, let's add back. So click on product filter and select all. Let's centralize this. So on sales dashboard, double click and just align it to the center, and maybe let's make it 26 font size and select OK. You can also add your name here, because we are going to publish it, so maybe you put your name in D90 and just make it a bit smaller. So let's do something like buy. Let's not do all capitals, buy. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is I want to show you how to filter via clicking on the dashboard. So if I click on a click on a specific data point in the dashboard, for example, February 2019, I want this whole dashboard filtered just on February 2019. Okay, and you can do that by actually clicking this filter icon. Okay, and this filter icon says use as filter. So let's try it out. So let's click on August 2019. Awesome. So now this just shows us August 2019 data. If we click back, it will go back. So I want it for this year. I also want it for the top selling products. So click on that. And the average price per product. So click on the filter icon. Okay, and that way if we click one, it will filter. Okay. Awesome. So now we are ready to publish, and we are going to publish to Tableau Public. So let's do that. So I want you to go to the probably it is Tableau Public. So on Tableau Desktop, it does have a server tab, but Tableau Public, you just save. You can't save this dashboard locally to your PC or your laptop. You need to actually save it to Tableau Public. And then if you ever need it again, you can open it from Tableau Public. So click File and Save to Tableau Public as, and enter your email address and your password. Okay, now it will tell you to save the workbook to Tableau Public and to just name the workbook. So let's call it Sales Dashboard for Home Market. And click Save. Okay, and once it is ready, you should see something like this, right? And the cool part about publishing to Tableau Public is that it is interactive. So when we were filtering our dates or clicking on a specific data point and the dashboard filtered, it does it on Tableau Public. Okay, and then you can also share this link to, on your resume or on social media or on LinkedIn as well, which is pretty cool. And I think the good thing about this is that you develop a portfolio. So, where all the dashboards you create, so these are all my dashboards that I've created, are online, and you can just link your profile onto your resume so that other people can see. Awesome. So when it's published, remember you can share that link anywhere. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed Please remember to subscribe and follow me on my social medias. Until next time, bye.